Did you know we need 8 hugs a day for maintenance? We need 4 hugs a day per survivor.
Okay, y'all, this video is so adorable and I love the message in the video. Like, they talk about the benefits that research has found of hugs. And I don't disagree. There is research that has shown the benefits of hugs. I like the message, like, hug your kids, hug your spouse, hug your pet. But I've been sitting with this in my drives for a while now because the numbers part at the beginning, like, really gets me. Because the numbers pull you in. That's like a great attention grab. Like, it's, oh my gosh, I need 8 hugs a day for maintenance, 4 hugs a day to survive. Then it says 12 hugs a day for growth. Like, that's something, like, I stopped. I was like, oh, what? I should listen. This seems important. Check out those numbers. Here's the thing. That part's not true. At least no research or study has shown that that's true. That's something that, like, a famous psychologist said. And it was cute and it was buzzy, so obviously it picked up traction and continues to get repeated. I'm single. I live alone. My pet does not like hugs. I could not tell you the last time, let me think about it. The last time that I had a hug was when I went home for Christmas. Having 4 hugs a day, 8 hugs a day, 12 hugs a day, that feels so wildly unattainable to me. Like, what? And that's what I don't like about this, like, fact that isn't really a fact. Because it actually could, like, make people feel bad or concerned that they're not going to survive, they're not going to grow, they're not going to be able to maintain the status quo because they aren't getting enough hugs. I haven't had one hug in over a month, and I'm doing just fine. I would even argue that I've been growing over the past number of years, despite, I don't think has there ever been a time in my life where I was getting 8 hugs a day? Probably not. 12 a day? Probably not. Which would mean, according to this, like, I've never grown. I haven't been, growing and developing my whole life because I'm just not getting enough dang hugs. In fact, Kirsten, how am I even standing here right now? I haven't had 4 hugs. It's, like, ridiculous, and it's funny, right? But I just, this is the thing. You use numbers that aren't actually true or based in fact, and you'll have some people that are like, oh, of course that's not true. And you'll have some people that might actually get concerned that that is true. Can you imagine if suddenly there was, like, a rush on, like, hugging, and people were like, oh my gosh, I have to go get at least 4 hugs in today or I'm not gonna make it. That's, like, extreme, but not impossible, right? Or even just imagine someone, like, feeling like they're already sad because they're kind of lonely, and then now they're feeling even worse because, like, they're not doing as good in life because they're not getting enough hugs. I grew up in a family that, like, wasn't a big hugging family. So, like, I wasn't raised on hugs. I really can't imagine. I love my family so much, but I can't imagine there was a day where I was getting 4 hugs. And I'm doing just fine. So, like, cute video. Love the overall message. Like, yeah, I aspire one day to live a life where I get more hugs. I don't think I'm ever going to be the type of person who needs 12 hugs a day. That seems a little excessive to me. But, like, yeah, I hope one day I have some hugs in my daily life. Yay for the message, but, like, boo for presenting those numbers as facts. In conclusion, I'm genuinely curious how many hugs other people get. Particularly if you're a single person who lives alone with a pet that doesn't like hugs. Like, you couldn't possibly survive by these standards. You'd have to go hug people outside of your home every day. With consent, of course.